Hello on YouTube, on Twitch. Welcome to another episode of my HOI4 Let's Play series. This is Northstar. I hope you're well. We're taking care of each other. Being kind to yourselves. Last video was supposed to be... I was supposed to get back to this sooner after, but I was tired. Laid down for a while. Did do some reading on ship design stuff, because, well, naval battles, because it's always good to review. My memory is somewhat impaired on COVID, so I can't remember that stuff as well as I'd like. Alright, so if you haven't checked out before, chat issues, give me a sec. There we go. If you haven't checked out before, do check out my YouTube channel page. You can find all previous videos in the series. They are organized from oldest, newest, so check out chronological order. So I'm playing as Communist Denmark here, but I actually started as Syria in this campaign, and then got roundly wiped. All remaining Syrian units up there near Bergen, pulling off the capitalist Norwegians, Swedes, and the Americans for just a little bit longer. They've held them off for an impressively long time, but they're drastically outnumbered, lots of tanks and stuff. Denmark was a puppet of Norway, but was able to declare independence and wipe peace out. Was able to engineer so that Norway didn't fight me on it. Otherwise, it would have continued a war that was... They weren't in the war against the Americans, but it would have been with Central Powers. I didn't want that. For a role-play perspective, I can consider that maybe I bought off the Soviet Union with and the Austro-Hungarians with lots of unleashed. Soviet Unions are the war leader, but the faction leader is the Austro-Hungarians as Central Powers. Promising and then delivering lots of unleashed to help them in their war with the Americans. Strategically, make some bloody the Americans more before they probably eventually lose. And I really, and it's impossible to expand if the U.S. just dominates the globe, and I'm guaranteeing when I try and justify and eventually take them down, I can't do that. And yeah, I didn't really want to be in a very prolonged war against the Central Powers. I would have gained very little from it, in the end, and not be able to do the whole conquer the world. And also, it wouldn't make sense for Norway to fight me when they're here on the verge of being wiped out. Trotsky, though they may be, and Denmark, presumably also Trotsky, wouldn't want to fight me and actually see the Marxist government in Denmark collapse into a non-aligned one because of it. That would be kind of predictable. People would not support the government. Tried that war, and so it was a puppet government rather than one that was wily about waiting for the right moment and demanding independence. Anyways, if this gets to be impossible, boring, overwhelming, I'll probably go back to days or save and play Denmark from the beginning instead of Syria, which means Syria will never flip communist, but they manage Denmark much better, and taking the loyalist puppet path, which has much better buffs, and maybe help them win communist Norway, which will declare very early, in Denmark just surrender, and then take the loyalist path, which will unlock their tree, the military tree, while they're still puppet, and then they can get request independence to get the civilian tree back. Help them beat capitalist Norway, Sweden, Finland, before Finland potentially joins the US faction, at least Norway and Sweden, so that not to end up in a war with the Americans. That is going to be fun, maybe. We'll see. I could also swap in this game to playing as Turkey or Afghanistan, both which have options to flip communist. Turkey ended up taking a path where they have this, where is it? So many national spirits. Well, they should have that one. Where the heck is it? Turkish Kemalist officers. TPDA, Local Plan, German. Here we go. Revolutionary Brigades from abroad. So, let's give some communism support. Get rid of this guy, who's also an advisor as well as the country leader. Like, woman to just be the country leader, and they would actually get majority communist support eventually with some decisions being able to speed that up. So they can flip fairly quickly. Afghanistan has a socialist coup focus, which I have spies here so I can see the progress, and they're just not running this. Instead, they're, for some stupid reason, running construction repair. I could see it before. I don't know. And then I tagged them. I'm like, why the heck are they running that? They were doing nothing, and then after a little bit, when I looked on, they did start an anti-air gun. So it's just they waste some construction days doing nothing before they finally start. But I'm like, it's dumb. They should build infrastructure, get their factories online. But I don't know. First, maybe shoot myself in the foot, because if they get the max infrastructure, they'll get enough build slots. They might be able to. If they build all civ, they'll probably build mill and civ mix. Stop getting dissatisfied graduates. They get like right now they placate them, but if they don't placate them, they can get support for any ideology. But it could be fascist, democratic, just as easily as communist, or it could even be non-aligned. So, all right. Enough talking about that stuff. So I've been modernizing my navy, and I guess I'm not far from the anti-air upgrade. I just designed and queued up a newer destroyer. There's a lot of misinformation on the wiki. I remember this. People are bad with math. They say, oh, a 4% increase speed is like a 1% increase HP. No, it's not. If you double ship speed, the ship hit profile gets cut in half. And the hit chance is based on the square of the hit profile. So twice the speed is 1/4 of the hit chance. For instance, it's an exponent. It's a non-linear effect. Speed matters a great deal, which is why, for instance, this 38.4 versus this with, let's do apples to apples. I think I gave it. Did I give it anti-air? No, probably not. 37.1? For some reason it doesn't have 38.7. Oh, this also had a level 1 torpedo. 1 and 2 torpedo and depth charge. Alright. Right. That's the same speed, it just has more hit points, actually. And more reliability. And substantially more expense. 1058 versus... oh, 943. It's 940, it's still more than 10%. Of course, it's got a lot more than 10% more hit points. Can't even save that in. Oh well, that'd be pain every time I design a ship based on that. Anyways, size 4 could create an upgrade early cruiser, but I'm not gonna actually be. Cost 468 to retrofit one of these just for the bonuses. Weird. Extra range, slightly increased speed. Probably do more extensive retrofit than that. Retrofits will be worthwhile because steel is very, very, very limited here. The this alt history map where everything started fragmented. Let's give it a second. Pause, and now it's only a -12 steel. Sometimes changes for better or worse. You know, pause. Alright. I'll buy some steel from the Soviets. It's down to -5. Accept that. Cool. colonized nations they would have more influence with. British Malaysias. Sri Lanka calls itself, I think WSD like. It calls itself Democratic Socialist. It's not. It's democratic and with a conservative government. It should be Democratic Socialist sub-ideology if the naming isn't a lie. I don't know. There's some historical reason. I suspect the devs just never bothered to fix that. They always are conservative, even though they should be Democratic Socialist sub-ideology, which is very social democrat in today's terms. If the naming isn't a lie, which sometimes it is. Anyways, I'm doing Modernized Navy. This can be a light cruiser and destroyer. Speed boost. They can be used for hulls. They can also be used for some stuff like sonar systems and depth charges. Depth charges is considered destroyer module. Sonar, I think, is a cruiser module. The way the game treats it. It's between these two, but I think it gains the cruiser bonuses instead of destroyer ones. Or it may have been destroyer. I don't remember. So 3 research bonuses there. Right. Oh, and this is 25% for any ship modules, so that's like guns and stuff. This is such a long thing, it'd be hard to... Yep. Right, this is what gives North Sea, the Faroe Islands, and Iceland could get build slots. Too bad, Iceland can't be. Maybe in a day 0 thing. With overwhelming them while they're at war with Norway before they peace out and become a US puppet. Black Sea domination gives Bornholm, Gotland. North Sea ambitions gives the Faroe Islands, Iceland, and Sjaland. Wait, Sjaland is where Copenhagen is. It already has max build slots. It's not helpful at all. Right. So except for if someone decides to occupy it, I mean the build slots will still go in there. And when you have non-core territory, you have a build slot penalty, which that would offset. Anyways, Iceland, yeah, but Faroe Islands versus Bornholm. It adds airbase also, so that was pointless before. I'm learning the Northstar. I'm wearing the Danish focus tree, and I'm gonna make mistakes. These are small bonus for modules. This is 250% bonuses. This is 375%. Can be used for destroyers and cruisers. Let's see. Yeah, I probably want to use this. The holes take longer than other stuff, so I probably want to do. And they're all any combination of light cruisers and destroyers. Cruisers and destroyers, really. Cool. Give me 1 sec, folks on YouTube. Okay, yeah. Hate to make people watch while I think. Yeah, so the module bonuses, the things that can't take the longest and can't benefit from naval XP are actually torpedo launchers. Well, I'm already doing one, so I guess one of the 25% bonuses will go for the modern ship torpedo launchers, and the other magnetic detonators are really slow, but they can benefit from Navy XP. I suppose could use it for that. I'm pretty sure doesn't work on stuff like landing craft. And then the rest of the guns and stuff are quicker. I don't know. Stuff like this also counts as both ship modules and gets destroyer bonuses from my experience. Snorkels are also, yeah, fun. But there's no bonuses for bigger ships here. Ship modules versus actual ship hulls. Huh. Good to know. Oh, I'm wearing the focus tree. Anyways. I definitely want to get ship destroyers with better torpedo launchers. Oh, yeah. I was going to explain this. So, there's such thing as overkill with torpedoes. They don't always have the highest chance to hit, but when they do hit, the first hit a ship takes, well, that can't damage orb. Anyways, for getting orb damage per second, if the goal is to sink a ship, all damage is scaled by 60%. And then there's a randomized factor that can do between just under the nominal damage minus 2.5% to up to just under plus 50%, 47.5. So, when you do out the math, usually you're doing an average of around plus 20%, so around 72% of the nominal damage. But once the holes of the things you have less than 90% of the listed, you're starting to lose some of the average damage output. Which is to say there's overkill. So 42, anything with hit points over about like 36, 37, yeah, so this is already a little overkill for early destroyers, like, which the AI loves to build and not build more modern ones. So I used to think, oh, I'll just put lots and lots of heavy torpedo mountings on a destroyer, but past a certain point, if you hit, you're going to sink the thing. And you're just spending more on overkill and making your ship slower and easier to hit. If the torpedo spread hits, you'll sink it, kind of thing. Yeah. I guess that eventually means, like with the level 3, I might not want 2 level 3 spreads. Might be a level 2 and a 3, because I'm already losing a lot of overkill. Or it might even just be a single level 3 spread. And do something like another anti-air gun. If I'm guarding convoys, people say, oh, you shouldn't put anti-air on screens. In a fleet battle, it's not super effective. But if you're guarding convoys, the biggest ship guarding the convoys often can be destroyers. Unless they're way out at sea, and then you might throw in some cruisers for range. So, and light cruisers really going to be targeted at similar levels. The weighting is based on ship hit points. So anti-air is always really useless. The capital ships, like, you can throw in dedicated heavy cruiser anti-air ships, just for convoy warfare. They are only really there so that the destroyers don't need anti-air guns. And that can work if you're doing a ton of convoy protection. And you can throw in a lot of ships, capital ships, are designed to soak enemy aircraft in fleet battles. Battle cruisers work well for that because they have a lot of hit points. You could use heavy cruisers too, but you only have so many ships that are going to receive screening, destroyers and such. Although, yeah, I don't know, there's different philosophies on this. Heavy cruisers actually maybe work better if you don't want that many capital ships, because they're just not that efficient. Just spam this. Spam destroyers, and so you're not even gonna have to worry with heavy cruisers about not having full screening, because what's the point? with capital ships other than to deal with enemy aircraft that attack the fleet. They're not great. They're good for shore bombardment. That's what capital ships excel at. In our world, people say missiles have made capital ships obsolete. No, no, they really haven't, because shore bombardment hasn't gone away. Missiles are pretty expensive for that, so they'll have to be used in very targeted matter if you're just doing very generalized shore bombardment, which, yes, it's going to cause more civilian casualties, but the US Crow doesn't care about that with the way it's just indiscriminately bombed from the air in many cases, so don't care about civilian casualties when you're bombarding a city from the sea. And missiles, they can be shot down. They can be shot down not by humans, but with computer-controlled close-in weapon support systems, like the Phalanx 2 system, but you may have heard of. But there's also, that's not the end-all be-all. It's possible to develop substantially more advanced anti-missile defense systems that will shoot down missiles. They come in things with larger shell calibers that fire slower, but because their bigger shells can take down missiles at greater range than the Phalanx system. You just need more of them because they're lower rate of fire. You can absolutely shoot down missiles. People say, oh, hypersonic missiles, less reaction time. If you have good enough sensors, does it matter? When it's moving really fast, it can't change its trajectory that much because there's so much momentum. It's actually in a way easier to shoot down because it has to come in a straight line pretty much, and you just calculate the trajectory where it's going to be fire at the right time. A computer can do that on the fly. And hypersonic missiles are very easy to detect because they're moving so darn fast. They generate a lot of heat. So, this idea that they're somehow get around missile defense systems is nonsense. And if anything hits something moving that fast, it's just going to disintegrate the missile. Because it's like, a speck of dust can destroy an interstellar spaceship if it's moving at such insane speeds. The faster you're moving, the less it takes to actually obliterate you. Missiles are not invulnerable, just US has never invested heavily in anti-missile systems because it relies on its fleet mostly to bully and intimidate third world nations that rarely even have good missiles. And this is why, in alpha strikes from the air, war with China might not go nearly as well as the US expects, for instance, because China has lots of missiles, and the US has not invested heavily in missile defense systems, even though missiles are absolutely vulnerable to them, as I was saying. They can absolutely be used to counter them quite effectively. You can even fire smaller missiles that intercept bigger ones before they arrive. And then you can always, for the cost and space and weight that someone has one really big missile, so you can have 6 smaller ones you can intercept. But the mathematics always work in favor of the defender, because the missiles don't have to have as much range. The smaller ones are more maneuverable, so they can more easily intercept the big one before it arrives. Missile interceptors, which the US has invested decently in. Because we haven't been worried about missile swarms too much against non-pure enemies, and the occasional missile that might get shot at our ships, we just shoot it down with missile interceptor. But we don't have ships that carry, the hundreds of missile interceptors that could be the future. Anyways, enough. At some point I'll do a From the Depths game. Maybe I'll show off some of the stuff. It's actually really difficult to build these systems in that game. It takes a lot of thought to make them work correctly. Which, I'm not a professional naval designer. I don't want to spend all day getting the angles right in missile defense systems and stuff. Make sure that you have full coverage, and they're kind of finicky in the game. When they work, which they're in real life too, but when they work really great. Had success shooting down missiles many kilometers away in that game with high caliber. Yeah, but the main problem is the game that the battles are all close range. you can't start them from far away, so it favors tiny ships and high rate of fire close-in missile defense systems, not like phalanx, nothing higher caliber, because there's no point in the range if the enemy ship spawns like 2 kilometers away from you. So the range came from actually starting close and then creating distance with the ship and shooting something at like 6 kilometers away. To do that, you need flak missile defense, like something that has a burst effect. Anyways, so May 31st, about to finish this. Good thing I poked back over here. I almost. All right, May 30th. What's this? Oh, putting the next 4 1 and 1. Yeah, okay. Alright. So I'm starting to, grow up my fleet. The convoy escort Star Force 17 stars 1 cruiser. Give some range if I really need to do convoy escort out at sea. Venture retrofit that. Something better. And steel gets to be even more of a limiting factor. Wait, why am I at +4 steel now? It keeps varying. One ship under repair. Cancel the Soviet purchase for now. I'm gonna get more factories eventually. Territorial expansion. At the very least, gain Jet One back. Gosh, I'm tired. Can't think very clearly. Alright, June 3rd in this. Alright. A lot of overflow. It's barely more than 12. Alright, I definitely gonna buy some oil. It's 15 is the number. Or reduce it by 1 tomorrow. 2. Anyway, stockpile a little oil for the naval exercises. Still June 4th? There we go. June 3rd. Officer Corps? Oh, it's for the Air Force Command. I don't get air XP that fast. And I'm gonna work on the torpedo launchers. It's worth noting the ship hit profile is also affected by this visibility thing. So yeah, I may have been wrong about that, or maybe it's outdated. I forget if it's outdated information. It used to be that concealment expert was good. Where the heck is it? But I seem to remember that that was changed so that concealment expert no longer affects naval battles. It's only visibility versus patrol. Let me double check. I seem to remember discussions in the Hearthstone 4 wiki is terribly out of date. Besides having blatant inaccuracies like the effects of speed, where you can even just run the math on the foremost post there and know that the rule of thumb of 4% higher speed, 1% HP is wrong. It's a lot more than 1% higher HP. Even using the example light cruiser they gave. Anyways, oh, don't autoplete. Concealment expert nerfed. I seem to remember. Sec folks on YouTube. Alright, and sorry anyone who popped over on Twitch while I was temporarily checking that. Doesn't look like anyone. Or was watching the video on demand later. Doesn't look like it's expert's been nerfed yet. It does still seem to affect the hit chance. Right. May have been wrong about that. Of course, the fleet size penalty is definitely nothing to scoff at. And like earlier, still holding on somehow. Made sure they got this guy. Makes sense when you're outnumbered. Fleet size penalties are not insignificant. Positioning affects a lot of stuff in a naval battle. Right, naval battles currently going on in the world. Like poke my eyes at here. Wonder who's fighting in the mid. Out of guesstimate. Nope, not the USA. Not Lusitania. Probably not the Soviets. Oh, Soviets. Versus Zerlinist France. So, larger feet. Minus 75% position penalty, for instance, you can see. With a lone wolf, this would be, on the other side, this would be minus 82.5%. And you can see already they each 5% penalty adds up to a little more than 1% penalty to attack and screening. And the big thing is sub visibility goes way up. So, Lone Wolf is quite valuable with, you know, small groups of subs that then suddenly find themselves on the losing end of a whole bunch of strike force ships that might have some depth charges or so forth. Or no, what am I saying? I got the reverse. Sorry, convoy yet. No, that'd be useful for if you're guarding convoys and you suddenly find a much larger force of subs attack, which is more common. The AI doesn't use sonar depth charges, but they sometimes do attack a whole bunch of subs. enough to get fleet size penalty and the visibility, and then destroyers have some base sub-detection, so they can sometimes sink stuff. Anyways, thank you very clearly. I think that was going to... Oh... Should be 5, right? 6, actually. 7, because I do have 7. Right, kind of serial production. Let's think about doing a Hearthstone video after this. I have to drink some more coffee to even begin to manage that. Something like a little under a week. Now I know to be up. So I need to shift that way with coffee. Oh god, I've been yawning and tired like this all day though. I'm lying down a lot because my old COVID's kicking my rear.